everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do another 3 looks with one palette. The palette of today's choosing is Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette. It is a little different for me, definitely outside of my comfort zone, which is definitely why I wanted to give it a go. Plus, I've been looking into a lot of green looks and I just wanted to try something a little bit green. So this is the palette we're going to use today. So before we get started, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me. And we will get started with our first look. Alright, so I did go ahead and prime my eyelids. I just used my MAC paint pot like normal. So here's this color scheme that we're looking at. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Today, I think I'm kind of leaning towards a more greenish look. So the first color I'm going to dip into is this mochi color, and I'm just going to use that as my transition. So we're just going to start in the crease and build it upward. And I'm actually taking it pretty high just because I know once I put on another color, it's going to like lower down here is going to kind of disappear. So I do want you to still be able to see it, so I'm taking it up pretty high. So blend it out. This color actually looks pretty yellow on the eyes. It's still really pretty though. So next we're gonna just kind of go down the palette here and we're gonna go into Fire OG, the second green shade here. And I'm just gonna deepen up the crease with that. So we're just gonna pop it right below our first shade. We'll go ahead and do that to this eye as well. And again, just moving down the line, next we're gonna go into the shimmer green shade called Goals. And I am just gonna use my finger for now. Ooh, that looks really pretty. And we're gonna place that right on the center of the lid and take it into the inner corner. And then I'm just gonna take a flat shader brush like I always do so I can get it all the way into the inner portion of my eye. And I mean, with a brush, it's actually working pretty well too. The shimmer is not as creamy as some other shimmer shades that I've used. It's actually pretty rough when I put my finger in it to get pigment on it, but the payoff is still very, very pretty. Now I'm debating, do I want this to be a full green look or should I add some of the more neutral colors? I think I'm just gonna show you the green look today. So next we're gonna go into the deepest green, it's called Leo. And we're gonna blend that into the shimmer and also the outer third portion of our eye. And then when there's a lot less product on the brush, I'm going to blend. So I like to start on this angle by my outer corner of my eye, just so I know it's not gonna go like down here. And that way it does get blended, because sometimes I end up with a pretty harsh line right there. And then we're also gonna blend this top portion as well. So I'm just gonna go back into our first shade. We used the mochi shade, the one that kind of looks a little yellowish. And I'm just gonna go around all of the edges to bring that shade back and blend things further. And this is what the top lids look like so far anyways. I am gonna go ahead and finish up my complexion and then we will come back to finish up the lower lash line. All right, so now that I've got my face done, let's go ahead and do the lower lash line. So to start, I think what I'm gonna do is start with our second shade, the Fire OG shade. And I'm actually just gonna run that along the whole lower lash line. And next we're gonna go into Leo, that deepest green. And we're just gonna do the outer third right here. Holy cow, we just had like a howling off. Like our neighbor's dog started howling, so my dog started howling. That was intense. So to finish up the lower lash line, we are gonna go into the shimmer shade now. I'm going to take some Fix Bliss and spray my brush. And then we're just gonna place that on the inner portion of the eye and take it about halfway. And then for the inner corner highlight, I'm just gonna use the highlight that I used on my face, which is my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Superstar Glow. Just gonna take a little bit of that and pop it right in the center here, or the inner corner here. All right, here is the finished look for today. I actually really like it. I have been watching a lot of green videos lately and I really wanted to try a green eyeshadow, and so when I found this palette I was just like sold. I love the green in it. And today, although this is not like a super wearable green look for work every type day thing, but for like today where I don't have to do anything really. Yeah, absolutely, I'm gonna play with makeup, and if I want a green look, you're darn right that I'm gonna give myself a green look because I really wanted to play with it, and I think this palette is absolutely stunning. Again, this is what it looks like. This is what today's look looks like. We'll keep going, so stay tuned for day 2 and I will show you another one with this palette. Alright, so I did go ahead and prime my eyelids just so you guys didn't have to wait for me to do that. Don't mind me, it's day 2 and I'm hungry, so I'm gonna have my morning smoothie. So for lip number 2, I kind of wanted to incorporate some of these warmish tones. So the first color I'm gonna go into is this shade. It's called Polka Dot. I think that's cute. Polka Dot is just going to be our transition shade. So we're gonna pop that in the crease, blend it out a little bit, and I'm actually gonna blend it a bit higher as well, because I have an idea to do a cut crease for this look, and with where the fold is in my eye, if I just put the color in the crease and then I put the concealer over, there was no point in putting the color in because the concealer will cover the color. For Christmas, my family got me this brush set with this cool snake skinish design on it, and it's actually turning out to be one of my, not the whole set, but this brush in particular is actually turning out to be like my new favorite blending brush. The next color that I'm thinking about going into is this Leo shade. It's the dark green one, and I have this idea to like bring in some of the green but then do the cut crease, so then we can go back into the warmer tones, but I don't want it to not have any green in it. So I'm just gonna deepen up the crease with this green color, the Leo shade. And again, with my eye shape, to make a cut crease, I do have to take the color up pretty high, otherwise there was no point in putting the color there. So I'm not really worried that the brown and the green are getting on my lid because I am going to cover that up in a bit. So I've got the green how I like it. Next, we're gonna go into some concealer. I'm just gonna use my Beauty Blender Bounce Concealer. And then I just take some on like, it is a like flat shader brush, but it's rounded at the top. And I just think it helps me do cut creases just because the roundness at the top lets me create a better line. So what I like to do is place a little bit on the center of my lid, and then you look up and it will leave a line on where your cut crease should be. And then from that line, I just like to draw the shape down to the corner of my eye, and then I bring it around the other side as far out as you want it. So obviously I'm not a pro at this, I make some mistakes, but you get the gist of it. That's a lot of work. Now let's do the other eye. I feel like my left eye is so much easier to do a cut crease in because there's actually like a fold for this eye to follow. Oh, dang it. And then I start talking and get distracted, so. That seems pretty good, right? Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a larger flat shading brush and we're gonna go into the lightest shade of this palette called Luna. And what we're gonna do with that is just set our concealer. So we're just gonna press it on. And because of what I have planned for the cut crease, the lightest shade, although it's not super light, it's light enough that it won't make a difference for the shimmer that I'm gonna put on top of it. Okay, so the purpose of setting the concealer once I was done with making the cut crease is because I don't know if you can tell, but like my shape is not as round on the side anymore, like right here, is because when I was going to set it with the powder, this brush picked up the concealer and moved it. So that's the point of setting it, is that way when we went in with the color we wanted to use, it didn't just go everywhere. So next we're gonna do the outer third portion of the eye. I'm gonna go into this darkest brown, it's called Cupcake. And I'm just going to stamp that where I want it. I'm definitely going to cover up my concealer line. We're gonna go ahead and do that to the side as well. Making sure to cover up the concealer line. And then filling in everywhere else we want that color as well. So I know it looks a little bit bold right now, but I'm gonna try to get all the colors on first and then we will blend it out a little bit better. Next, my favorite part is we are gonna go into this gold shimmer. It's called Gemini. Well, it's not really gold, it's kind of got a burnt orangish tone to it. But that's the color we're gonna go into now, and of course I'm just gonna use my finger like I normally do. This one is actually a lot more creamier than the green shimmer we used yesterday. I'm just gonna place that on the center of the lid. Well, actually it's gonna go everywhere we put the concealer. I'm going to switch to a flat shader brush just because my finger is not cutting it. And neither is a dry brush. So we are going to spray this baby with some Fix Plus and hopefully that will work. So this is a really pretty color, but man, it's a pain in the butt because it goes on beautifully with your finger, but with my nails, I can't get it all the way into the inner corner, or I'd get it too high and that defeats the purpose of a cut crease. So I went in with a wet brush and there's like a divot in my pan now because I had to press so hard to get it on the brush, and then it takes a really long time to get it on your eye. I don't know if this was the best way to use this color, but I can tell you this shimmer is a lot different than the green shimmer we used yesterday because the green one was a lot, not chunkier, but it wasn't as creamy to put on my finger, but it went on very nicely. And then when I needed to use the brush, it went on the brush very easily and was maneuverable that way too. So I wonder why their shimmer shades are not the same formula. I wonder too if maybe it's the concealer that this shade isn't liking very much. My concealer is not dry. See, I like poked it and then my nail smudged it. Concealer's still not dry. So I picked a bad concealer to do this with. I don't know if you guys can see. It's like starting to get chunky now because the brush is wet. I think I'm getting a little bit frustrated because this eye looks super textured now just because of all the chunkiness and trying to press it in and smooth it out. And then this eye is not terrible, but it also doesn't have the pigment that this eye does. So I don't know. I feel like I didn't win either way. We're just gonna move on now. I'm gonna go back into this dark brown shade just to clean up this line here a little bit. Next, I'm gonna go back into the first shade we used called Polka Dot, this one. And we're just going to blend the edges here and then also on top. Before I get any more frustrated, I think I'm gonna leave the eyes like this. I do really like the shimmer color. I really like the color. I think I messed up with the concealer that I used. Typically I use my Nars, but I'm almost out of that bottle, so I don't know why I didn't use it. But anyways, the cut crease did exactly what I wanted it to do. I just wanted a little pop of green above the goldish shimmer. I think that's really pretty. And then obviously you have to do something with the outside, so I kind of kept it in that neutral zone and then blended everything out with the lightest brown that we used. So this is the top lids for now. I am going to do the rest of my complexion and then we will come back to finish up the lower lash line. All right, let's finish up the eyes. So as I was doing my makeup, I had some time to actually look at my eyes and figure out that I didn't actually do half bad of a job. Although the shimmer shade is not, it was very difficult for me to use. I just think the color itself is not what went wrong. I think it was the concealer that I used to make my cut crease. So I don't want you guys to, like, if you're really interested in this palette, don't be scared of that one shimmer shade not working, because there's only 2 shimmer shades in the whole palette, and if one doesn't work, that kind of sucks. So don't be afraid of that color in particular. I think that was my bad with the concealer. I am actually very pleased with how the eyes turned out. So we're gonna go ahead and finish up the lower lash line, and I'm gonna start in our first shade, that polka dot shade, and we're just gonna pinch the brush, and I'm gonna put that along the whole entire lower lash line. Next, we're gonna go into our dark brown shade called Cupcake, and we're just gonna stamp that right on the outer third here. And I wiped my brush off because I had too much product on it, but I'm going to actually like blend this darker shade out a little bit. Now we're gonna go into our green shade Leo, and I'm gonna bring that from halfway all the way in. Finished up, we're gonna go back into the Gemini shimmer shade. I'm gonna re-wet my brush and we're gonna place that right on the inner portion and kind of drag it to about halfway. All right, so you probably can't see it, but up close, like if we were talking face to face, you'd be able to see it, but it's a hard shade to get pigment to, at least with the brush that I've contaminated with the concealer. And this is how the eye look is. I am going to finish up the lower mascara and put on some lips and we will come back. Here's the final look. It took a while to get here, but we made it. I actually really like the way the eye look turned out. I think it's really pretty. I just think I messed up on a couple pieces and it took a lot longer than it needed to. Just in general though, this is a really dark palette, so don't be scared to have to like try and retry, and maybe one look doesn't turn out well for you. And that was actually what I was kind of scared of when this one started to kind of go sideways. But again, I've said it before, just trust the process and things should be okay, because I'm actually really happy with the way this look turned out. I think it's really pretty. Other than that, stay tuned for our third look. Alright, so I did go ahead and prime my eyelids like I normally do. I just used my Nars Smudge Proof eyeshadow base. Let me tell you, it's been a day. So what I had in mind is that because our last two looks were very full glam looks, I wanted to show you how you could do this for like a more natural, neutral look. That way you kind of get both sides of the spectrum. So to start, our first shade that we're gonna go into is Luna, the lightest shade here. And I'm actually just gonna place it everywhere. On top of the lid, in the crease, a little above, just everywhere. And I'm actually just gonna use my same brush, and next we're gonna go into this Laurel shade, I think it's what it's called. And this shade's a little bit more mustardy, but still very neutral. And I'm gonna pop that into the crease just to give that a little bit more definition. So the purpose of that was just to give a little bit more definition into the crease, but again, it wasn't meant to be a super harsh line by any means. And next we're gonna go into Gemini again, our shimmery goldish brown prettiness that has decided today it does not want to give me any trouble. We're gonna take that on my finger again and just place that all over the lid from inner to outer. Go ahead and do that on this eye as well. And I will go in with a flat shader brush just to get all the way into the inner corner, like I normally do. That shade worked flawlessly now. See, I just think it was that concealer I messed up on. This is like the neutral, natural look that I'm gonna stick with for today. I mean, you could totally go in with some darker browns here and warm up your crease a little bit more, or the outer third, but I'm really happy with this. And again, it's been a heck of a day, so I'm good with natural and easy. I am going to finish up my complexion, and we will finish up the lower lash line. Now we're going to finish up the lower lash line. So the main color I'm going to use again is the Luna shade, the first shade we used that we put all over. I just pinch the brush and put that all along the lower lash line. And we'll go ahead and do that to this eye as well. And next I'm going to dip into the Laurel shade, the darker one that we used, and just put a touch of that on the outer third. Well, about halfway in actually. There's a lot of fallout with the shimmer shade if you don't wet the brush, but based on my experience with wetting the brush, I don't really want to do that, and I don't really want a bunch of shimmer all over my face. So this is where I'm going to end it with the lower lash line. I am going to put on some lower lash mascara, and we will come back for our final thoughts. Okay, that is a close call. I almost forgot to do my eyebrows. But here's the finished look. I actually really like this more natural look. I used kind of a brighter lip balm, and I think it looks really cute with the orangish shimmer. So anyways, this look was meant to show you guys what a more natural look would look like with this palette, because it is very dark. I mean, we could have totally done a very dark smoky look, But because we use such dark colors in our first two looks and they were both very glam looks, I wanted to show you the diversity in the palette. But I enjoyed doing all three looks very much. I liked them all equally. Like, I don't have a favorite this time. So that's cool. That's all I've got for you today. If you know another palette that you'd like to see different looks with, please leave it in the comments below. And as always, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Before we go, I would love if you would hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me. It helps me keep this channel going. I will be here on Tuesdays and Fridays, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.